Hey guys, it's RJ from the Secret Stacks, and today I'm doing the Reader Problems tag. And I'm really excited about this tag because it gets into more about who I am as a reader, and I think that's something that I want to do a lot more of on my channel. I feel like I've done a decent job talking about books, but I want to talk more about who I am and my reading versus just books on my channel. And this is, I think, a little step, but I think a big step. The original tag was created by About to Read, and I've seen it both on Heather Forever Books and also the Pampered Pages channels. It's a lot of fun, so you should check all those out. I'll link them down below. I'm going to paraphrase the questions. I'll do the best that I can, but I will link the exact questions down below if you guys want to do it. First question is, you have 20,000 books on your TBR. How do you decide what to read next? And for me, this is really decided for me because I do a lot of my reading from the library, and ebooks from the library in particular. There's a pretty heavy wait list. So for any semi-popular book, I'm waiting for a long time. So basically it's that order. It spits out what I'm going to read, and I've got to sort of get myself in the mood versus picking what I'm in the mood for and then going from there. Sometimes that leads to reading slumps a little bit when I'm like, I want to read this, but I don't really want to read it right now. But it does also give me motivation because I've only got 2 weeks to read it. So I do eventually get it done. Question number 2. You're halfway through a book and you're just not loving it. Do you stay committed or do you quit? And for me, I never really get to that halfway point. If I really hate a book, then I'm out after the first chapter or two. But if I make it to the halfway point, I'm going to finish it, whether I end up hating it at that point or not. And a good example of this is The Magicians by Lev Grossman. I was really not feeling that book in the middle of it. But when you get that far, I'm someone who I really like to know how it's going to end. So I get to the end, and then even the sequel drags me. But I usually, if I've hated it, I do a well enough job of not tricking myself into going for the sequel. Question number 3. End of the year is coming and you're so close yet so far away from your reading goal. What do? Do you try to catch up? And this is going to be interesting because it's my first year with a reading goal, and I'm already behind because I had a bad February. So we'll see. I'd like to think that I really am committed to try and hit this goal, so I will try to catch up. I hope that I won't let it last until December so that I try to keep that pace so I don't have a rush at the end of the year, but we'll see what happens. Question number 4. The covers of a series you love do not match. What do? Do you go out and try to buy a matching pair, or do you just let it slide? And for me, this is absolutely no problem. Because I read ebooks, it's not like I have them on my shelf that I'm seeing. After I open a book up in my e-reader, I almost never see the cover again, so I don't care. Especially with the library, I don't keep them, so it doesn't matter at all to me. Question number 5. Everybody and their mother loves a book that you just don't like. Who do you bond with? And well, for me, this is my brother Joe. I've got 3 younger brothers. He's the middle one. But we have identical tastes in everything, which is crazy because all of us are so different except for us two. But there's a 99% chance that if I hated something, he did too. And if I loved it, he did too. So it's nice having that recommendation reinforcement so we can feed off each other and what we're reading. Question number 6. You're reading a book and you're about to start crying in public. How do you deal? And this is, maybe I'm emotionally stunted, but I never cry with books. That's not to say that I don't get emotional. Things like anime, I for some reason get ridiculously emotional. I think it's the combination of the music and the visual that really hits me. But books, for some reason, because I'm going on my pace, I feel it emotionally, but I don't have that reaction. I think because I'm in control of the pace. A sequel book you love just came out, but you've forgotten a lot of the last novel. Do you go back, read it again, or what do you try to do? For me, this is tough because I'm not a huge rereader, but I will, if I forget it, I will go back and reread. I'm not going to look at Spark Notes. Maybe I'll look at somebody's reviews on BookTube, but that's why I really try not to get too committed into series until all of them are out, because it really feels inefficient for me going back. And it's tough holding out on series like that, but ultimately it saves some time and it gets me committed to make sure that the author's actually going to finish a series, because that doesn't always happen. All right, so I totally forgot to include question number 8 when I was recording this, but it was one of the questions that really made me want to do the tag, so I'm throwing it in here. Now, what does Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer have to do with it? Absolutely nothing, but I needed a picture, so I just took a random picture in my house as proof that I haven't put away my Christmas decorations yet. So now, for question number 8, you do not want anyone borrowing your books. How do you politely tell people nope when they ask? Alright, so this doesn't happen that often because I read ebooks and I read mostly from the library, so I'm the one doing the borrowing. But I do have a horror story where you can actually lend out Kindle books, and I lent the second and third Hunger Games to my brother, and for some reason, when he tried to send them back to me, they just disappeared. So he doesn't have them. I don't have them either. Somehow, the way I set my Kindle up, it's out there in the stratosphere. It never came back to me. So I like to think that somewhere in space are my two second and third Hunger Games books. Question number 9. You've got reading ADD. You've picked up 5 books of the past month, but haven't finished any of them. What do you do? One, the library helps with that because it has a forced deadline. So I often find myself with 90% of a book to go with only 2 days left, and I can hammer through it. But it doesn't always work like that, and it's tough when I do get excited about another book, but I know I have to finish the one that I'm reading now because I do have that timeline. So it's a double-edged sword of the library. It gives and it takes away. Question number 10. There's so many books coming out that you're dying to read. How many do you buy? 99% of the time, that answer is going to be 0. Number 1, because I don't keep up too much on new releases, so I don't tease myself in knowing what's coming out in something that I know that I'm probably not going to buy. But 2, like I said, I really like complete series, so it's got to be something really amazing for me to go pound for pound with it. Question number 11. After you've bought the books that you're really excited to read, how long do they sit on your shelf until you actually read them? So for me, this again, I don't buy a lot, but when I do, they get read almost immediately. I don't have a huge backlog of things. If I buy something, it's because I'm crazy excited for it and I am going to read it pronto. Same with library books because I have to read it pronto. All right, that's it for the reader problems tag. I tag Chris Vigilante, R schooling, and French toast and books. So until next time, see ya.